we have pan-India presence now, 26 centers across India, 5 in South India, 6 in Maharashtra, and rest in North and Central part of India. So we train graduates. They basically come from humble background and they get trained for 3 months, and then they land up in a private sector banking job where they are employed as a teller, cashier, customer service officer with a salary range of around 3 lakhs per annum. So whenever we talk about universities, so universities are helping them with some jobs, but कुछ बच्चे रह जाते हैं या वो सोचते हैं कि हम कुछ आगे MBA करके कुछ करेंगे but जॉब नहीं मिलती, और they land up in some sales job, फिर वो सोचते हैं कि नहीं यार कुछ ऑपरेशनल जॉब मिल जाए, या कुछ कॉल सेंटर जॉब भी होते हैं, तो फिर then they see कि they don't have that career ahead, so they come to us, we train them for 3 months, and till date we have placed around 10,000 students, and we are on a mission to create 1 lakh bankers by 2030.
That's great, sir.
Namaskar and good evening, everyone. I'm the founder and director of Lloyd International Training and Consulting, previously known as Anu Kaushal Malhotra. So this is me, Anu, and it's been a shift that's actually taken around 6 months, because I'd say as we are talking about branding today, so I was the brand name and I'm still in the process of understanding how do we shift this identity that I had, because it's mainly the training and consulting firm that, I had partners and collaborations with companies like TPSDI, that is Startup Power Skill Development Institute, to the universities in Himachal and Punjab. We have trained many students and we are also well known in teacher training. But then again, as I said, because we are talking about branding, for me, shifting, the identity of this training and consulting from my name, to the name of the company, Lloyd International Training and Consulting, has been certainly a learning process, and it's been just a year, I'd say, that LITC, that is Lloyd International Training and Consulting, is seen in the market. So maybe as previous name, do remember Anu Kaushal Malhotra for now also. Thank you so much.
It is, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hitesh Madan, and I'm a first generation entrepreneur. We started our journey with brand name Bullseye, 98. We trained more than 1 lakh students so far in physical classroom for various competitive exams. Plus, we run a chain of K-12 schools under the brand name Mindtree. So we have 7 campuses. Ambala is our flagship campus. And then we do multiple interventions in the field of education. We are working with B2B colleges in technical trainings, in placement trainings, and as an organization, we have been very, I'd say, tech adoption is what we do very early stage, and so future we are a AI-based SaaS company, and that's what transition have been happening since last 2-3 years. That's what we do.
Good evening, everyone. My rejected my name twice. Right? I am Kapil Pandna. I have just joined as a director PML SDBS, which is also part of the same society which runs SG College in Chandigarh. We are, I think, 4 years old institution. We started in 2020, right? And we offer PGDM program, and it's a request to everyone to visit our campus, right? It's a smart building, right? So that is what I just wanted to say, and looking forward to a great discussion. Thank you.
Very good evening to all of you. Myself, Atinder Pal Singh, Deputy Director of Admissions and Outreach. I've just joined City University, Ludhiana campus a month ago. Basically, City Group has started its operation since 1997. 3 campuses of City Group are there: Maqsooda, Shahpur, and City University Ludhiana. So It will be a great session, and it's first time I'm into a panel discussion, so I'm a bit nervous.
Chalo, great. Thank you everyone for introducing yourself. So I'll directly come to Hitesh sir, first to you. So I'll tell you about a simple story. So I started my MBA journey in 2012 from Sunrise. So one thing was common. So जो भी लोग चंडीगढ़ से आए, सबका एक common था उनका CAT bullseye से हुआ है. So a common observation among all. So maybe sir, you can throw some light. It's been 26 years that you started Bullseye. So what was the idea behind starting Bullseye, which is now with Bullseye, and being a top regional player? तो कैसे आपने brand positioning मतलब उसको किया है?
Okay. So I'll say sometimes you do not understand branding. Branding is not a logo. Branding is not a name. Branding is not its experience. Please understand. So first thing we need to understand that when we started business, first thing we said to ourselves that let us be fair to every stakeholder. So when I say stakeholder means students, teachers, my vendors, the team, right? And till now the value system is very clear. We are very serious about academics. Sometimes today I was talking to, in fact, last week to people, and I said last 25 years, the generations have changed. Today, it is difficult. आज हम क्लास लगाते हैं, बच्चे नहीं आते हैं. ठीक है, हमारा value system वही है. तो पहला value system is that we give back. So my vision was that when we said, I used to say to my team that if somebody has paid me 25,000-30,000 rupees, I cannot ensure that he go to a good B school. But I can ensure that I give him that value back of 20,000 rupees by making changes in his personality, his attitude, the way he thinks about competition. So that's the one part of it. Most of us are in education space. And in education space, so there are three parts to it. One, that before taking admission, okay, what's your perception? Once you are into the institution, what is your perception? And we deal with the adult people. You know, they can make it out very soon that whether the system is actually genuinely interested in teaching them. So that's the core value number one. And second part is the consistency. Even today, my colleague in the group is sitting. Trust me, every external communication I get. Because external communication means whether it's a advertisement going on, it's a very subtle, very subtle. So consistency is very important. So consistency is one, value system is one, which is the force behind from where you actually deliver, right? And consistency is the most difficult, trust me on this. Most of people go up and then are not able to sustain and they come down, right? So sustaining is very difficult and leadership sustaining is the most difficult. I can tell you in the last 25 years, number 2 has changed 6 times. It's not a joke. And across India, we were the only institution in the test prep of especially CAT that never in the history of CAT preparation in Chandigarh, national brand could become a brand leader. Everybody tried every. And people used to say, "Paise jitne marzi kharch lo, branding mein, advertising mein, usse koi farak nahi padta." Because we know that our teachers are good, our quality of
ये मेरा second question भी था. ये मेरा second question भी था. There are national players who are there everywhere, and then we see Hit Bullseye, which is a top player, especially in the tri-city.
I'll say it's about perception, how you think. I'll give an example. So there are similar industries. So for example, newspaper industry. Okay, you can say Times of India is still a national leader, but still if you go to Bangalore, Hindu, Chennai, Hindu, you go to Calcutta, I think Statesman, you go to Punjab, Tribune. So see, regional players we have seen can sustain. The only thing is you should have that wherewithal to fight with these things. That's the only thing. If you have the right attitude, right delivery, nobody can make a dent in your forte, I'll say, but you have to deliver for that.
So you spoke about consistency, right? And for our audience also, it's very, very important to also understand the channels that you use. So your communication is reaching out to the right audience. So what all medium that you use today? So each and every communication is reaching out to the right audience.
Okay. See, the problem today is the plenty is a problem. Because earlier it was very simple. आपको सारा साल का बजट करना है, इतना रुपया न्यूज़पेपर में गया, इतना पैम्फलेट में गया. That's it. right? Then the radio channels come, though I, Chandigarh, said, all right, I know that Hindustan Times and Times of India were launched in 1999. And I was the first advertiser in Hindustan Times, Times of India, and Chandigarh Tribune when it was launched, right? So, newspaper was a traditional medium, right? So, I'll say totally depends upon, so we cannot just follow simply others, right? So, newspaper is one, FM we don't use today, earlier we used to do it, right? Today we are doing a lot of digital. It's a mix and match of digital, and what I have realized now is that we do a lot of ground events. So we do a lot of college-based events. So what we are seeing is perceptions are slightly different in social media. So today is a combination of, I will say, traditional and modern. You have to blend both of them. You can't just simply be only on social media or only on the ground. It's a blend. And one point, I'll give you an example here. When we started a school in Kharad, right? Now, when I was designing the campaign, I found that no newspaper has a reach. Total circulation of Kharad at that time was, I still remember, 60,000 copies. And English newspaper means Times of India had a circulation of 1,500. So I say, if I give a head of 40,000 rupees for 1,500 people, I'm spending almost a good amount of money per newspaper. So we shifted the entire, so we spent only 10% of our budget on newspapers. 90% of the budget was spending, you may call it stupid activities. I remember my team went to every bank, chemist shop and gave them 2 cups. It was education enlightens us. That's a simple thing. So we did ground events. There we never used advertising. So depends upon what you are propagating, what is the channel. But today is a fine blend of both the things that works.
It's a mix of good of all the possible channels which are available. Right. So maybe on this note, next to my Kapil sir. So Madan sir gave us an insight about more from the regional point of view. Chandigarh, Punjab, Tri-City mein what are the right ways. If I see, let's say your experience, you have worked in North India, let's say we are currently in North India, you have worked in East also, you have worked in West India also, in South India also. So what is different that is happening in a different part of the country as compared to what is happening in maybe in North?
First time I'll be taking it as a compliment that I have worked in so many places, otherwise people say you are not stable. Right? So, when it comes to branding, right, more or less, the concept remains same, isn't it? But yes, where you're operating, regional flavor is very important, even if it is an institute of national importance, isn't it? You can pick up, tier 1 institutes, right? For example, IMI, right, where I worked for 26 years at Bhubaneswar campus, right? But if you go by what IMI Delhi was doing, it was really difficult for us to survive for long. Same thing happened with MDI Murshidabad, isn't it? When MDI Gurgaon started a campus in MDI Murshidabad, right? With the same kind of things if they operate at that place, it certainly won't work. And the most important thing is language, right? We say that yes, English is a language of business. Of course, yes, nobody can deny it. But try to understand, with the student, it's not only about the student. There are parents around, there are other people around. So you need, when you are talking about your brand, right, you have to inbuild those kind of things. And most important for, branding is like your internal branding, right? Researchers have proved that it's customer experience which has, it's employee experience which have led to customer experience, isn't it? So therefore, it is very important that the people inside should buy that brand, right? And they must understand that even if you are coming from other parts of the world, right, you need to understand the regional flavor, isn't it? Because that can build the identity of the institute, right? You cannot go, even if you have multiple branches, multiple campuses, you cannot go with the same identity, right? And that is true worldwide, isn't it? When McDonald's came to India, right, they started Makalo Tikki Burger, isn't it? So that regional flavor is important everywhere. And that's what I've seen while working in East, when you'll be advertising, right, you will give more regional flavor, right? For example, greetings on Raju, which I am at Delhi may not be giving, isn't it? Similarly, Onam advertisement in South, right? This may be the institute operating in North may not be giving, right? Because see, first of all, wherever you are stationed, right? Whatever institute you are, the local people must buy it, right? What if the person get down that station and if he asks that where is that institute, nobody knows about it, right? That will happen only when you will connect with them, and that's why many times it is advised that even if you are top-notch institute, at least you must use some regional medium to connect with the people, isn't it? So local newspapers at times helps, right? Okay. Depends on the brand you are in. Isn't it? So rightly pointed out that in Calcutta, Statesman is popular, right? So if you have to advertise, you won't advertise in Times of India, right? So we'll give it a Statesman. So that is important from institute that bring that regional thing in your branding campaigns, right? The most important is what, right? If you talk about brand, creating a brand, right? It's about understanding the mindset of your audience, right? Then only you can design a brand campaign where you can create that perception in the minds of the customers, right? So therefore, when you are talking about understanding them, it's very important for us to catch their wavelength, right? And that is different at different locations, right? So that is what I feel that well, messaging and all, it is very important that you bring that regional element. No, I'm not saying that you forget about the kind of DNA you are carrying with you of your parent organization, right? I'm not saying that, but yes, some customization is important because at least in that area people should know you, isn't it? So that's important for any institute.
Let's say, just to put a perspective, you're saying when in Rome, do as Romans do. Right. But let's say when everybody is in Rome, so let's say you are in Chandigarh with the peripheral of university around your college, right? So what is that one positioning which keeps you, let's say, apart from, let's say, a regular university? Because being a B school versus a university.
So the only thing is, like, if I want to say in one statement, we are the only PGDM institute in Chandigarh city itself, right? All are in periphery, isn't it? So that can be one, thing we can always boost upon, right? I don't know how much it will work, but that's the truth.
So attending next to you, so City University, right? A private university in Ludhiana. जब भी जैसे हम बात करते हैं ब्रांडिंग की, पोजिशनिंग की, वी आर ट्राइंग टू रीच आउट टू अ स्टूडेंट की सही बंदे के पास, सही स्टूडेंट के पास मेरा मैसेजिंग पहुंचे. But when it comes to university, especially for the UG programs, we also have to influence the parents because in that case they are also main decision makers. So in your scenario, how technology is helping कि जो आपका branding है, जो communication है, वो एक end audience पे पहुंचे ताकि आप उनके parents को influence करें. So how technology is helping in that area?
It's a Meritto when it comes to the application form, there is an option. The student has to fill his, parent or alternating number. They basically student having one number, and similarly they'll fill the details of their parents also, right? And in many of the institutions, if we talk about, let's say, our outreach team who tap the schools, they also get to know the contact details of the parents. So basically, how we can reach to the parents. In City University, I have seen that each and every course is interlinked with industry collaborations. For it, say, BTech. If we talk about BTech, we have collaborations with IBM. IBM faculty stays into our campus and they take the lectures of the student as well. These kind of things we deliver to the parents, and we just make them understand the basic necessity which parents and students want. they are really focused on ROI, what they are investing and what they are getting back. See, placement also plays a vital role in that, industrial collaborations and the international tie-ups. So these features, these USPs need to be sent to the parent through the mode of, I think, say, WhatsApp panel, so through drip activities, mailers, right? Mailers also play a very vital role because nowadays students, the parents are highly active on their email accounts, right? Because the generation has been changing and students are more on social media platform, but the parents, they are on emails, Facebook. We need, so we just plan the mailers, the creatives, the testimonial of the students, which can be sent to the parent so that they can understand which course, which stream is much more important for the student in their future perspective.
Correct. And I'm sure regional touch होना बड़ा important होगा because especially you are targeting audience majorly from Punjab. तो एक regional touch होना कितना important है आपके campaigns, आपकी branding में?
Yes, it's true. Regional touch is also very important, I must say. If we talk about in city, approximate, I've just checked, I was checking all the analysis of the previous year. 80% admissions are from organic channels. So, city group has really pushed all the regional mediums to get the proper engagement of the students, and the response is very impressive, I must say. As compared to my previous organization, I've seen the organic conversion is very far high as compared to the other institutions. And similarly, in other state as well, like sir have said, that local newspaper that was old-fashioned, old school things. So basically, how we can connect the way social media is trending nowadays, right? Testimonial of state-wise students, placement testimonials of state-wise, industrial collaboration which we are doing. If any student is getting internship, like our student recently, our 5 students have got internship in Dubai. So one student is from Kerala. So we have just pushed. So now we can plan that okay to the Kerala audience, to the Telangana audience, right? So these things can be planned in that way.
Got it. Thank you so much. Yes, please, ma'am.
Thank you. When you're talking about branding, I think I need to also say, because I'm also a writer and I convey a lot about branding through this, it does certainly have got a very, very big role, I'd say. Kind of a pivotal shift can take place when you're talking about branding. But then what exactly is branding? Maybe let's try to decode that. When I'm consulting, let's say, any education institute or an individual, when it comes to branding, what comes to our mind? Well, I'd say there are so many things. It could be tangible, it could be just a feeling, it could be just an emotion. So when you're talking about educational institute, as Sir rightly said, the CT part, how do we convince any parents? I'd say over here the branding has to do a lot with that, force of emotional element. I think we need to understand that. It's certainly more than the ROI, I'd say. It's more about, you are conveying a kind of a feeling to the parents that, hey, if you would like to join this particular institution or a school or a college, what would happen? Are we capturing that emotion of a parent? It's about the aspiration for my child. I'd like to see them associated with this privileged brand or so. So I think that's very essential. Branding is certainly more than about ROIs. It's more than about, as Sir rightly said, it's not just about logo. Sometimes it's just about that feeling. And another thing maybe I'd like to add, because I've been shifting working, let's say, from the southern part of India, from Hyderabad to up north, let's say in Himachal sometimes, and now I'm closer to Khabar. I'm so happy to hear what Sir said about newspaper. That's kind of a learning for me sitting here, that we do have to do so much research to really know clearly what is our why. Why am I going ahead with this particular sentiment? What am I trying to convey? What is maybe this particular university stand for, right? So that's very essential. A strong research is something so important to build your brand image, capture the emotions. Just in writing, we say, we could give an analogy, if branding is like a pickle, I'd say when you're talking about localization of content, when you're talking about using that, Punjabi touch or Punjabi flavor, for me, it's more like, adding that oil to the pickle. Only then your organization would sustain. So something like that, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you said ROI is not the only outcome, but when you are spending a lot of money on, let's say, branding activities, how do you measure success given that case?
Absolutely. I said it's not just the only element, but then having my experience also as an HR head with an aerospace firm, I did head the aerospace, and for me the number one lesson as an HR person was certainly if you cannot, measure something, you cannot really go ahead track its growth. So certainly it's very essential for us to track, the ROIs, the return on, let's say, offline kind of branding that I'm doing, or maybe online that I'm doing. It's very essential, and I'd say certainly. I'm still in the process of actually, as I said, in the transition from an individual identity to making a brand for LITC. I'd say we certainly require support of some great apps, some great software. Maybe Meritto can come into picture, help us to really track that feedback. It's very essential, again, linking, even if I'm talking about data, numbers, and figures, for me it's very essential whether it's actually helping me to capture the social sentiment also. So here it says, actually, both the things working together, qualitative and quantitative. So yeah, I need to track, but then I also need to track the social sentiment, see whether brand is really cutting into each house or not.
So let's say, ma'am, you said you also consult at many universities, right? Any regional university, let's say institute, which having a lot of regional, let's say, I would say input. So how as a regional player they can also look to be, let's say, what goes behind to become a national, or let's say maintain a national level field?
Well, I think it's again, I'd say it's a journey from roots to wings. When I say roots, let's say I'm working here with colleges and schools. I'm also associated with organizations like JMA, Jalandhar Management Association. Roots, I need to really understand. I just finished the 2 days conclave with Jalandhar Management Association. I've not named the university, but then it was a conclave wherein we invited not just teachers, but then also industry experts. Now, what was the issue that we were all discussing? I think everyone takes pride in saying that we have got this demographic dividend. Hey, we do have, population of youth here in India, which is amazing. But then what do we do with these youngsters if they are not skilled? That's the question. Again, talking about the regional problem, I think as Sir was talking about research, we have done a research, in Jalandhar. I say sometimes it's not just about always academia blaming the industry blaming the academia. Sometimes we certainly need to do the research. I'll tell you, we recently spoke about the skills shortage. Here in the company, in India itself, how can we talk about skills shortage when we're talking about and claiming about demographic dividend? And you know which company is that? That's L&T. And that's claiming that we do not have the basic skills. We are looking out for carpenters and we do not have that. We took this particular topic into that 2 days conclave, and people agreed that it's not about what's being taught in the college or what is that industry is actually requiring. What was the problem was the cultural shift. A simple question. When we are talking about skill shortage, we are talking about a skill like data entry. What is the problem? Again, in Jalandhar, if I talk about what is it famous for? I think when in terms of skills, in terms of industry, I think a lot of sports industry, automotive industry, and there are so many other small businesses that would certainly, have students or youngsters with these skills, but because of the cultural problem, how many of us still would love to see our girls going ahead, and if they have some kind of interest in carpentry skills, do we allow that? Hey, we don't. We still say that this is the scale, and we are dividing the scale based upon the gender. So this is the problem that was there, we could say, in that particular region, isn't it? So when I'm working with an institute, it's not just, okay, we will have a 2-day conflict, we will talk about skills industry, we'll talk about the gap. Hey, there is no gap between, at least for this problem, between the industry and the academia. There was the gap that we had to really go ahead and capture, and to see that there was a cultural shift that needed to be addressed.
I think a great insight. So, Obviously, coming next to you, you started IPB 10 years back, right? And whenever, let's say, we think of any banking training institute, the first thing that comes in our mind is banking SSC. कि जो government exams है, उनको compete करने के लिए training institute. But you started for a private banking, right? A training institute. So, what was the thought while starting IPB?
मतलब आप पंजाबी जी कहते हैं करता क्या ना मरता, कुछ ऐसा है ना, मरता क्या ना करता. So it was that position. I did my diploma in tool and die engineering. वो क्यों किया? क्योंकि +2 के बाद नंबर इतने थे कि अच्छे इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में एडमिशन नहीं मिली. फिरोजपुर में मिल रही थी मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग. वन ऑफ आवर रिलेटिव्स सेड कि इट्स बेटर टू गो फॉर एन इंडो-स्विस ट्रेनिंग सेंटर और एन इंडो-जर्मन ट्रेनिंग सेंटर इन लुधियाना. I got admitted there. There was a 5 days workshop we have to have in every week, and 1 day was theory. 5 दिन प्रैक्टिकल पढ़ते थे, 1 दिन थ्योरी पढ़ते थे. जर्मन वर आर टीचर्स, सम ऑफ देम. So after 4 years I got placed in Microtech, monitors बनाती थी. ये समझ में आ गया था कि स्किलिंग, जो मैडम ने भी अभी बात की, कि इट इज अननेसेसरी. बीटेक एमटेक करके भी लोग आते थे, हमें वेटेज ज़्यादा मिलती थी बिकॉज वी वर स्किल्ड इनफ टू हैंडल CNC मशीन्स और दी सॉफ्टवेयर. तो 6-7 साल जॉब की, फिर उसके बाद लगा कि नहीं, कुछ अपना करना चाहिए. वी स्टार्टेड एन अकाउंट्स इंस्टीट्यूट वेयर वी यूज्ड टू ट्रेन कैंडिडेट फॉर अकाउंटिंग जॉब. वो अकाउंट्स क्यों आया? बिकॉज माई वाइफ वॉज अ लेक्चरर इन खालसा कॉलेज चंडीगढ़. तो शी वॉज BCom M.Com. वो कहती बच्चों को प्रैक्टिकल बैलेंस शीट नहीं बनानी आती, अब ऐसा इंस्टीट्यूट शुरू करते हैं. वी स्टार्टेड दिस. So after 4-5 years NSDC came up, the same courses were taught free of cost. तो लगा कि अब ये ज़्यादा देर चलेगा नहीं, तो we switched on to banking. So why banking you ask? Government banks में मैंने देखा there was a fees of around 8,000 rupees 3 महीने के लिए. और वो बच्चे को बोलते हैं कि तेरे 3 महीने तो पढ़ेगा, तू नहीं पास होगा, एग्जाम SSC या गवर्नमेंट नहीं क्लियर करेगा, फिर वो 3 महीने हम फ्री पढ़ाएंगे, फिर नहीं कर पाएगा, तू 1 साल तक हमारे पास कभी भी आ सकता है. एंड प्राइवेट बैंकिंग इंडस्ट्री में इट लीड्स टू एम्प्लॉयमेंट. डायरेक्टली आप 3 महीने की ट्रेनिंग दो और जॉब मिल जाएगी. मेरे को लगा ये ठीक है, पर वहाँ पे कंपटीशन कम था. दूसरा, मेरे को ये सिखाया गया था. मेरा एक दोस्त था, उसका डिस्को था सेक्टर 9, अगर कोई चंडीगढ़ गया, एरिजोना के नाम से. उनके फादर चलाते थे. वो हमेशा बोलते थे बड़ा काम करना है, बड़ी सोच रखियो, बड़ी फीस लियो. तो उस टाइम लास वेगास होता था, मनी माजरा में एक ब्लू आइस होता था डिस्को सेक्टर 34 में. तो वो कहते हैं कि वो 200 रुपया फीस लेते हैं, हम 300 लेते हैं. वो संडे शो होता था 12 से शाम को 5 बजे तक लोग डांस करने आते थे. तो कहते मैं तो बढ़िया बनाता हूँ, बढ़िया चीज़ रखता हूँ. हमने वो कोई OHM कंपनी थी, वहाँ के UK से स्पीकर बुलाए हैं. अच्छा काम करना, बड़ा काम करना. मेरे को भी लगा यार 8,000 से अच्छा 20-25 हज़ार फीस लेंगे, कम बच्चे होंगे, सिर खपाई कम होगी. मतलब बेसिक कॉमन सेंस. बिजनेस इज ऑल अबाउट व्हाट आई फील इज कॉमन सेंस. फिर लगा कि डायरेक्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिलेगी, क्योंकि फर्स्ट जॉब तो मेरे को मिल गई थी कैंपस. सेकंड थर्ड वाज टफ, सीरीज देता रहता था, जॉब मिलती नहीं थी. तो मेरे को लगा कि इट विल डायरेक्टली लीड टू एम्प्लॉयमेंट. बच्चों को अच्छा पढ़ाएंगे, नौकरी मिल जाएगी. सो वी स्टार्टेड फॉर अ प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक. उसमें कोई साल में 2 या 3 बार एग्जाम नहीं होते. जब उनको रिक्वायरमेंट होती है वो हमें दे देते हैं, हम बच्चों को ट्रेन करते हैं एंड दे गेट इट.
एक बार इम्पोर्टेंट आपने बोला कि वहाँ पे उसकी फीस 8,000 रुपये, यहाँ पे वी वर चार्जिंग ऑलमोस्ट 3x टू व्हाट दे वर चार्जिंग. तो कैसे मतलब बच्चों को कन्विंस किया कि या ये पोजीशन है, ये आउटकम मिलेगा, तो वो ट्रस्ट कैसे बिल्ड किया आपने कि गवर्नमेंट से ऊपर प्राइवेट से कराऊँ टू जर्नी का?
सर वो चैलेंज अभी भी है, लोगों का रुझाव वही है कि गवर्नमेंट बैंक में नौकरी करनी है। उसके कुछ रीजंस हैं। एज अ प्रोबेशनरी ऑफिसर इन अ गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर दे गेट अराउंड 12 लाख पैकेज इन दी स्टार्टिंग, क्लरिकल में 4-5 लाख है, बट प्राइवेट में एज एन असिस्टेंट मैनेजर दे ज्वाइन एज 3-3.5 lakhs पर एनम। कन्विंस ऐसे किया कि 3 महीने के बाद तुम्हें जॉब मिल जाएगी। गवर्नमेंट बैंक के आप बार बार भी एग्जाम देते रहोगे, पता नहीं साल बाद मिलेगी, पता नहीं 2 साल मिलेगी, आप करते रहो अपनी तैयारी, जहाँ से भी आप तैयारी कर रहे हो। हमारे यहाँ आप फटाफट करके जॉब ले लो, उसके बाद साथ शाम को संडे को पढ़ते रहना, सरकारी मिल जाएगी, और सरकारी जल्दी इंटरव्यू क्लियर कर लोगे अगर आप प्राइवेट बैंक में जॉब कर रहे हो।
So before we close our session, maybe one secret maybe you can share with the audience कि branding में ये तो होना important है. We'll go one by one starting with you.
ब्रांडिंग में जैसे जय सर ने बोला कंसिस्टेंसी जरूरी है, मैडम ने बोला कि इमोशन होने चाहिए आपकी टैगलाइन में, दे कैन कनेक्ट विद द पेरेंट्स विद द चाइल्ड। मेरे ख्याल से यही है। बाकी एज अ बिजनेसमैन यू हैव टू बी करेजियस इनफ कि आप रिस्क लेते रहो, चेंज करते रहो कुछ ना कुछ ब्रांडिंग स्ट्रेटजी, एंड वन डे और अनदर वन विल बी।
Ma'am, your
Is it okay if I tweak the question a little bit, because it's very essential. I also tell you it's not just always about talking about branding for others, but then when you're talking about branding, let's say now I'm trying to look for a team, who would understand my vision. What exactly is branding? How would I convey to them? So it's very essential that when I sit down, I require a team, so that they understand, for me, whether it's an emotion, for me, whether it's something tangible, and then I need to pass it down. Only when I pass it down, my vision, to the entire team, it's very essential. Then I'll be able to reach to others. So I think in branding, first understanding the why, let us all begin the journey with why. Why am I building this particular brand is very essential, one. And second, conveying this to the entire team members is rather more important.
So important is to have a good team internally first.
Exactly. And when we say good team, maybe very quickly I'd say there is this concept which I really found very interesting while I was now sitting down with 4 or 5 people. I've got 2 coming in from Hyderabad again. So what happened? I realized that when we are around 5 or 6 of us working together, no matter how well we communicate, there could be some kind of possibility that we are stuck with the Abilene paradox. The Abilene paradox, I'd say, is the #1 case study that we have seen in the Satyam scandal. Everything was going good in the Satyam company, but then maybe 1 or 2 of them were keeping mum when they were talking about the vision, when they were talking about the mission of the company. They never opened up, right? And then we have seen this big company, which could have actually become a global name, has collapsed, right? So I think we should avoid this concept of Abilene paradox, that basically means giving the entire power to communication and questioning. Only then we will come up with the great brand mindset.
Madan, your thoughts?
I think most of us are from the field of education, so I don't know, but if you see most of the advertisement, around 3 things. One is ratings, right? Second is related to the placements, the packages, and third is I'll say which is related to either the infrastructure sometimes, right? But primarily you see placement and the which is outcome, and rating, which is external stamp to your quality. I see. So regarding my 2-3 points are one is that we have to understand our customer very well. I'll give an example. When we started our first school in 2005 in Ambala city, there was no school where there was a race for admission. Any school, you just walk in and take admission. Trust me, people used to come after the summer vacation. ये 3 महीने की वो कहते हैं ना फीस बच जाएगी, एडमिशन तो हो ही जाएगी, राइट? आज if you go back आज अगर आप बोले माइंट्री अम्बाला में एडमिशन लेनी है, लोग कहते हैं भाई मिलती ही नहीं है। कई बार मेरे पास लोग आते हैं, मतलब मैं भी नहीं दिलवा सकता। रीजन इज वेरी सिंपल कि नर्सरी में सीटें भर गई, खत्म हो गई बात। हमें ये अचीव करने में 6 साल का सिस्टमैटिक प्लान लगा। इट वाज नॉट कि सडनली आपने क्वालिटी बढ़ा दी। हम एक सेक्शन फॉर एग्जांपल एलकेजी में लेते थे, एक सेक्शन प्लस क्लास 1 में लेते थे। सबसे पहले हमने क्लास 1 का सेक्शन बंद किया क्योंकि नर्सरी की एनरोलमेंट बढ़ी। तो धीरे हमने पैसा कहाँ लगाना शुरू किया, हमने 50 लाख रुपए रेडियो स्टेशन पे लगाया, क्योंकि मुझे पता है अम्बाला में कोई रेडियो स्टेशन नहीं है। कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन, मेरा क्वालिटी कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन, वी हैव वन 3 or 4 नेशनल अवार्ड ऑल्सो। तो हमने वहां इन्वेस्ट किए 50 लाख रुपए, वो मेरी ब्रांडिंग इन्वेस्टमेंट थी। मुझे याद है तीसरा साल था हमारा, we did one of the biggest event in Ambala. It was musical, I think, Ramayana, and we spent from our pocket 15 lakh rupees just for the annual function, right? So, अब हम स्कूल की एडवर्टीजमेंट ही देते हैं, एडमिशन की छोटा सा एक नोटिस देते हैं, लेकिन पैसे कहाँ लगा रहे हैं? एक्सपीरियंस पे, एस्पिरेशन पे, राइट? तो जब आप ब्रांड को बनाते हैं, ये एक दिन का प्लान नहीं होता। It's a long, for example, when we shifted our brand name from Bullseye to Hit Bullseye, it took a systematic way of 2 years. First we put certain brands, this is now this, then every time we were writing, below our logo, Bullseye Knowledge System. We never used to write the company name because company name was Bullseye Knowledge System and the brand name was Bullseye. So it took us a process. So please understand, when you are planning, consistency on long-term plan is there. If you want to build a brand, you cannot have a short-term vision. And one question was asked, I think, related to the advertisement. Very difficult that how do you amortize the branding? Because हमें नहीं पता होता वो sales में जा रहा है या branding में जा रहा है, और ये हमेशा confusion हमें रहेगा कि जो मैंने पैसे खर्चे उससे मेरी branding हो रही है या मेरी sales आ रही है. Slightly always difficult, but certain portion of your advertisement usually should be amortized to long-term branding. तो मैं तो बोलता हूँ कि अगर आपने 100 रुपए की एड दी है, 50 रुपया ब्रांडिंग के अकाउंट में गया, 50 रुपया सेल्स के अकाउंट में गया। दैट इज द माइंडसेट यू शुड कीप, बिकॉज अदरवाइज इफ यू आर ओनली लुकिंग फॉर द कि आज मैंने ऐड दी और मुझे 50 कॉल नहीं आई तो मेरी तो ऐड खराब हो गई, दैट्स द माइंडसेट व्हिच इज अ शॉर्ट टर्म माइंडसेट एंड लीड्स टू द प्रॉब्लम। सो कीप अ लॉन्ग टर्म माइंडसेट, कीप अ सिस्टमैटिक प्लान इन माइंड व्हेन यू वांट टू क्रिएट अ ब्रांड।
So actually, the question was like, when you are going for branding, what I think you should look in mind, right? So first thing which is coming to my mind, right, that when you talk about branding, it is like how you want your audience to perceive you. If you are able to answer this question, finding tools is not difficult, isn't it? Most of the time we don't know, because when we keep on switching, right, because of the market forces. Nothing wrong with it, because this is the first time in the history of mankind that everything is governed by market forces, even our thought processes, right? But that's okay. But then, frequently switching over, your messaging or your content or your offerings, it's not good for creating a brand, right? If you see worldwide, the Epson is still known for its entrepreneurship program, isn't it? Whatever happened over, right? Similarly, if we talk about institutions in India, IIM Calcutta is still known for its finance, XLI is still known for HR, isn't it? So creating that kind of robust brand is important, and that will only happen when you are very clear about how you want your audience to perceive you, isn't it? So that's one thing we must decide before creating any branding strategy and the content.
Thank you. So basically, I think all the seniors has just discussed each and everything in advance. So very little things for me are left over. So if we talk about the rankings, the awards, the placement records, the industry-oriented courses must be our branding part if we talk about in terms of an educational organization. So basically, the trust, the parents and the students must trust you whenever they see anything about you. That which each and everything you have mentioned in your branding in various sources, the things must be delivered to the student and the parents. So that is one thing which is very essential in from branding point of view.
So now, audience, we will conclude the key takeaways. So one is consistency, second being a right communication, right channels, and it's not always about ROI, sometimes emotion also plays an important role. So maybe on this note, we'll conclude this session. Thank you so much for being
Maybe
such a...
I have an addition to it. I'll not take this time. I'll just
Sure.
keep
Good Simran sir gave his introduction and the introduction about his organization, right? I'll just help you recall that. He said that we run an institution जहाँ पर हम बच्चों को बैंक्स में जॉब दिलाने की हेल्प करते हैं, उन बच्चों को जिनका इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस वगैरह में उनका नहीं मिल पाता है, जिनके पास उतना हैसियत नहीं होती वहाँ पढ़ने की, उन बच्चों को हम लोग कुछ 25-30 हज़ार रुपए की जॉब दिलवाते हैं, सो एंड सो टॉप टाइप की उनको जॉब हमारे थ्रू मिल जाती है, जिसमें कॉल सेंटर वगैरह की बात बोला था. I think this is extremely important. Before thinking of devising any strategy, building an identity, very important factor here is to understand and analyze that who is your ICP, your ideal customer profile, right? Point number 2, what is your offering? Offering आपकी किसके लिए है, वो क्या है? Third, to comprehend that in a very clear manner in your own mind to your team. And if that is not happening, it can't really come out, you can't really put that across to anybody in the world, no matter how much money do you spend. So you need to first of all establish this in your mind very clearly कि आपको किसको क्या बेचना है, आपको क्या problem solve कर रहे हो, किसके लिए कर रहे हो. So a fantastic introduction. That was my key takeaway, sir. Your introduction was enough for us to really understand this. So thank you so much for the input.
Thank you.